Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today, update on the Heist spoilers, teasers, and yeah, all of that stuff that is happening right before league start. And we're still waiting for patch notes, the actual thing that we all need. But hey, today we're going over the balance manifesto for Path of Exile Heist League. This is something I'm actually reading for the very first time. So usually, I'm just not the kind of guy that is interested in patch notes and in balance changes and whatnot. I was always like the player. I remember that in my World of Warcraft history, let's say, everybody was like, me here, and QQ there, and this is nerfed, and this is unplayable, and I just still played it just because I enjoyed it, right? So, and I think this will not ever change. But hey, as a content creator, I think I should have the honor job, whatever you call it, to go over the balance manifesto and give you guys my 2 cents about certain topics, I would say. Without further ado, let's get right into the action. So as every league, we are making some changes to a few mechanics that outclass alternatives or provide too much power with too little investment. Yeah, that's why the things are good, actually. This helps to keep a fresh metagame, encourage players to consider alternatives, and prevent us having to raise the difficulty of Path of Exile's content to compensate for a small subset of builds that can trivialize content. Yeah, I know. I still love to play Spectral Shield Throw, and it's just bad, like... Yeah, as we mentioned earlier, here, and here, like probably the last couple infos here, we're making changes to some existing skills and introducing new ones. Outside of these changes, we're only making a small number of balance changes in Heist. You'll be able to read them in detail in the patch notes tomorrow, but in the meantime, this manifesto outlines what you can expect. So this balance manifesto is basically, they're just saying like, this nerfed, this buffed, and we get a new Herald of, Herald MTX, like every single league. Which is good, I like it, right? So, Path of Exile Balance Manifesto Ascendancies. We lowered the offering effect on Necromancer. So, yeah, obviously. So, thing is, if you just go to PoE Ninja here, right? And you go to builds, you basically see, obviously, this is like high tier level, 98 to 100, so only a few part, basically, right? But Necromancer and Assassin are like the 2 best builds by far. So I personally, why should I play an Elementalist if I can just go Assassin? Have way more damage, maybe a little bit less survivability, but I can compensate for that with like ailment immunity and stuff, and just be super fast. Same as Necromancer with the shocking Impulsor, dead corpses and whatnot, Spellslinger left and right, There's just so many classes that are just not that great, like Raider, for example. I personally, I cannot really remember ever playing a Raider, or at least I did in the past, just because, like, hey, I never played a Raider, let's just play Raider, and not like, holy shit, this kill, Raider would be perfect, so obviously you always have to take into account the highest 2 or 3 rated ones, and see why are people always picking the same classes no matter what, So, and yeah, as I said, Necromancer and Ascendancy, I expect some nerfs on that side, which should be okay, I assume. So, we've lowered the offering effect on the Necromancer's Mistress of Sacrifice and the Ascendant Black to its past value of 50%. Back. So, we've also lowered the critical strike chance and multiplier on the Assassin Deadly Infusion and the critical strike multiplier on the Assassin's small passives. These 2 passives were making these classes too generically powerful for too many builds. Yes. I can understand the offering effect of Necromancer. I'm just not certainly too sure. I'm not like the biggest Necromancer player, so I will just quickly browse into the Necromancer tree here, and we have the Mistress of Sacrifice. Offering skills, the offering have 25% effect, a reduced effect of use, so that's basically getting nerfed half, basically, right? So instead of like, let's say, I think Bone Offering was the one with the block chance or the life recovery on block or something. So usually if it said like you get 100 life per block for your minions, basically, you're only getting 75% of that value, and now after the changes we're back to 50% of the changes. But still, as long as it's there and it helps your survivability, I personally don't think it's insane nerf and unplayable and oh my god, this like that class and whatnot. So, and the multiplier on the Assassin, So yeah, that means we're getting a little bit less DPS, but the overall playstyle of the assassin with the elusive and whatnot is just still there. It's just a little bit damage nerf, and if I do like 20 million DPS and now I'm doing 19.5, like, still way too strong, I would say. Glancing blows. We've changed glancing blows to cause more damage to bat through your block. You now take 65% percent of damage from blocked hits. The Keystone, combined with the fact that recover life or energy on block, we're providing too much survivability for too little investment. Definitely true, because I always catch myself when I plan a build, you know, either I say, it's a life-based build, I need to go Divine Flash, best mechanic or best defensive mechanic, right? If I play an energy shield-based build, or even block, doesn't really matter, there's recover life on block as well, but I think that the energy shield on block is way more powerful because you just have way higher levels of energy shield in general than you would have in life. So if you say like, hey, my character has 6k life, that would be equivalent with the same gear, like 8,000, 9,000 energy shield or something like that. So the 5% on 9,000 is obviously way more recovered than the 5% on 6,000. So my PC here wants to cancel automatic restart. God damn it. So good. So that's now 65%, so it was 50% before, so you took half of the damage. So the thing is, if you block, usually, if you're like Gladiator, you have 75% block and spell block, so if you block that, you just not get any damage, right? If you take glancing blows, it just doubles your block and spell block, but you get 50% of the damage. So it's basically useless in that case if you don't have any kind of mechanics that does something on block, you know, like endurance charge on block, power charge on block, life recovery on block. So all these mechanics will actually make glancing blows super strong, and as far as I can remember, I wasn't really playing any kind of builds that didn't either have glancing blows or divine flash, so definitely needed some changes there. So divine flash, coming to the next topic. The divine flash Keystone provided an extremely strong defensive layer against elemental and chaos damage, provided you could get enough chaos resistance. God, English is so hard to read. Holy shit, I'm sorry, guys. We've lowered the amount of maximum chaos resistance the Keystone gives to 5%, was 10% before, making investments into maximum chaos resistance more necessary to get the same defensive outcome. Definitely fine, I would say, because you can get, like, you always have 75% resistance, right? Fire, cold, lightning, chaos. And with just the Keystone, you're up to 85, so you only needed like 5% from different sources like the skill tree or gear slots and stuff like that. And in the end, this is always up, right? So you're always going to have the 85% chaos resistance, where 50% of your ally damage will go to chaos. So you're always like taking 10% less on that half, right? So I would say it's okay. I would still say Divine Flash is worth going, and even if you only have like 80%, because in the end you're having chaos resistance, right? So mostly, or typically, either you don't care about chaos resistance at all, so you're on -60, so whatever, you know, or you are capping it with Divine Flash or going CI. Those were the only reasons, basically. But yeah, Divine Flash nerf here on the 5% max resistance, which is huge, don't get me wrong, but it's still superior because, don't forget, you still have chaos resistance against poison, against all kinds of chaos mechanics, and just having a character with chaos resistance is just so much quality of life, especially when you go in encounters like Saurus and other encounters that do a lot of chaos damage. Enduring Cry. This war cry combined with Call to Arms Keystone, that's the one where you get it like instantly basically, gave convenient defense with little or no player interaction. We're increasing Enduring Cry cooldown to 8 seconds and requiring at least one enemy to be in range to generate endurance charges in order to increase the importance of positioning and timing during gameplay. Definitely worth, or at least, like, I welcome those changes. I know that it nerfs certain builds and in the defensive layers and stuff like that, but there is a reason why everybody goes Glancing Blows, or everybody goes Divine Flash, or Enduring Cry. Like, almost every character, if you were pathing down to the left side of the tree here to Call to Arms, right, you always, or is it here? Just taking the life notes here, and you just use your Enduring Cry as your movement only left click, you know? So you always just run around, you just don't care about it. You permanently get your endurance charges, your defensive layers, your life regen, and whatnot. So that was just too strong. You know, like every character that could potentially get or path down here to Call to Arms would definitely take it, because why not? You know, you can even then skip all the life flask, because every like 2 seconds or so, you're gonna get this massive heal and endurance charges and stuff. So there has that these changes make sense, okay? So don't cry about nerfs and stuff. There is a reason why things are like overused in every single build. So Ball Lightning combined with slow projectiles outclass the damage of other spells, so has had its damage and area lowered slightly. I cannot say anything about this because I never really played Ball Lightning. I was like initially planning to play some Mjolnir Ball Lightning, but there is so many builds out there that already does that, so I didn't want to like copy paste or something. So I was never really interested in Ball Lightning, so I can't really give my 2 cents on that one. Well, I just did actually, so never mind. Spellslinger. Triggering spells with Spellslinger was faster and more convenient than other methods of casting spells while leveling. It now has a longer cooldown, but gains more cooldown recovery as it levels to make it more rewarding to reach higher gem levels. The skill now starts with a reservation override of 30%, scaling down from to 25% at gem level 20. Should be okay, I assume, because the cooldown, I mean, Spellslinger doesn't really have a cooldown in itself, like if you cast it, so it's just the internal cooldown. How often can you proc it per second? How many casts can you get off based on your attack speed with your wand, basically, right? So like in the end game, as you state here, there is no changes at all, right? And while leveling, like, as far as I know, like, every time I leveled with Spellslinger, when it was, like, Essence Drain Contagion, you're, like, casting once every pack, you know? Like, I don't think there will be, like, some major impact on that. I think for racers and speed levelers, there might be an impact, but on the other side, as a typical player, I don't think you're gonna notice that at all. Redemption Sentry Spectre. Ugh, Spectres never played, help! This monster variety had superior damage scaling and kill speed compared to most other Spectres, so has had its damage and life lowered. I guess that's okay. Cluster Jewels, we've made a few numeric tweaks to specific Cluster Jewels notables that provided a little too much power. This time we're only lowering values on Precise Commander, Vicious Bite and Vengeful Commander, but make further changes in the future. I know that Vengeful Commander was the one that gives you increased buff effect of anger, hatred, and wrath. Vitality, Precision, and Clarity. Vitality has always had a value that seemed low compared to the power of the other auras with similar mana reservations, which meant it has a little use outside of enabling powerful Vitality-specific Watcher's Eye modifiers. We've changed the skill to have a flat mana reservation. Ooh. And ground life regen instead of percentage life regen. It's now available at level 10. Their attribute requirements are now consistent, only requiring their primary attribute, and at 75% the value of standard attribute requirements for skills. Various powerful Watcher's Eye modifiers for that auras that reserve a flat amount of mana, Vitality, Precision, Clarity, have had their values lowered to match the low investment requirement to use these auras. At the same time, we've changed a small number of other specific Watcher's Eye modifiers that were providing large values of recovery rate. That is kind of interesting, though. So Precision Clarity, as it just stated here, it is not a percentage mana reservation, it is always like a small amount. So usually, if you're like not a melee build, if you're like a caster build, it would still take level 1 precision because of the crit on potential Watcher's Eye modifier, same as Clarity. Like, there is not a lot of builds that actually level up Clarity because it just has a lot of mana reservation once you're like level 21 gems or so, like 300 or so. So if you're not like playing Archmage and have like mana stacking, so you really feel that Clarity. I think like on a melee character level 90, you have like 600-700 mana, and if you really would reserve like 300 of that just for mana regen, I just don't think it's good at all, you know? And I can see the change in Vitality, and it's surprising actually, because I think the only times I used actually Vitality, if you're not playing any kind of Aura stack or that kind of build, you know, but I would say usually used on a Righteous Fire character with the life recovery rate that is getting changed here as well. But a low Vitality, the good thing is they change it to a flat amount, so it's the same pace with Precision and Clarity. So it's not like, hey, this costs you like 15 mana for reservation, gives you permanently 2% life regen or something, right? So I think on level 1 this gives you like 10 life per second or something. So you can throw it in if you have open spots, especially when you have a Watcher's Eye mod, and the combinations will just get better and better, because there's often that you have like a Hatred Watcher's Eye that is like super good, even with a Clarity mod, and then you have like a life recovery rate while Vitality, and you're like, ah, God, there's a useless stat on there. But now, with this change, you can actually put in Vitality as well. So I think it's a big buff in the early game, and then nerf in the late game, because once you have like a Righteous Fire Juggernaut with like 8,000 life or so, that 2% life regen would probably be way more than the flat Vitality, but it's more accessible for every kind of character, I would say. So, Vile Impurity skills, something I never used. These skills have been changed to grant maximum elemental resistance instead of less damage taken. This is mostly to prevent clever use of game mechanics with standard items that could completely prevent taking certain types of damage. Yeah, immune builds, pretty much. Which is fine, I would say, because... Wait... Grant you maximum resistance. Yeah, that's totally fine, because the maximum elemental resistance is still capped on 90%. You cannot get higher. Even if you stack this up to like 300% maximum resistance, 90% is the maximum, so you cannot like find any clever game mechanics to outpass that. Ailment effect. We've changed some ailment modifying stats like chill effect, shock, chill, and freeze duration to instead apply to all cold and lightning ailments. This will allow the effect of alternate ailments, sap, and brittle. This affects some unique items, passives, and other item modifiers. Change some ailment modifying stats like chill, blah blah blah, to instead apply to all cold and lightning ailments. I don't understand that, sorry. Projectile behavior ordering. We've changed the order that projectiles will perform special behaviors, so that splitting now occurs first, followed by piercing, forking, chaining, then returning. For specific mechanics that had chances to occur or not to occur, you'll now be able to fall back on another behavior the projectile has. Previously, if the projectile had chained remaining, the skill couldn't return until if they chained the last time, even if there is no enemies in range to chain to. Yep, I noticed that on Spectral Shield Throw. Now the projectiles will return, and you could still make use of the remaining chain if it hits an enemy during the return. That should bring... I wouldn't say this will make Spectral Shield Throw viable, okay? But I noticed that because I was using the... there was like... I think they changed it over here. It was actually a Vengeance Cascade, return projectiles, pierce all target, and chance to return. Yeah. So I always noticed that it only is like when you have like 5 chains, you know, and there's 6 monsters, it just starts chaining, and then when the last chain is soaked up, it returns to you. So if you have still 5 chains and there's only 3 monsters, it will just bounce to all 3 monsters and then just disappear, because it still had chains remaining, so it did not return to you. And with this change, it should just, if you have 5 chains and there is only 1 monster, it should still bounce back to you. At least this is what I can read out of that. Needs to be tested how that one feels like, but I noticed it when I played Spectral Shield Throw that with this passive it just did not happen. You know, only if there is a pack with like 100 monsters or something. So, reduced visibility and stealth, and a sip of coffee. Hey, important things first, right? Sources of reduced visibility have now been changed to stealth. Previously, reaching 100% reduced visibility would make you unable to be detected by any enemies, while now 100% stealth will have the range that monsters detect you at, while 200% stealth will reduce to 1/3 of their standard range. Values of stealth have been adjusted to compensate for this. No freaking idea, was never using that. I know that the... what's it called, this movement skill? God, I have the icon in my inner eye. Juices was using this. Freaking... Dude, how bad am I in this game? Google. Movement skill path of Exile. So, category movement. Where is it? Where is it? Face run. There we go. I had this blue-green icon there. Yeah, this one. I was like... it's that one, Exile! So, Face Run, for example, gives you also some visibility, and its users did use this one, or this mechanic with, the, I think, the Feral's 4 or something, to be completely undetected, and this Herald of Thunder did not even trigger that he got detected, so it was just like every couple seconds he was like standing there next to the boss, and the boss is like, where is this dude going, you know, and still getting all the damage. It was like crazy. But yeah, for typical builds that are not focusing on visibility and stealth, I think there was something you had if you had it, and if not, then who cares, you know? So I don't think any big impact at all. Changes to mods which provide flat life regen. Flat life regeneration mods provide a substantial amount of defensive power at low levels, but their values are notoriously low for endgame play. This is exactly what I mentioned in the top side with the Vitality. So for example, there is a Vitality Watcher's Eye that says gives you 130 flat life regen, you know? If you equip this on level 24, it's like you have permanent life flasks on, but later on, if you have like 6k life or 7k or even 8k with a Righteous Fire Jug, if you have the right gear, then what is 100 regen? You know, the percentage regen will be so much more impactful. The values of many mods which provide flat life regeneration have been increased by as much as 100%, so we doubled it, making these mods more competitive with percentage-based life regenerations at higher levels. Life regen mods also roll slightly less common on items. Well, that's good, because usually what happens if you're crafting and you're always getting those freaking life regen on your suffix? You probably noticed that heavily in Harvest League when you said like, hey, we can now just add a life modifier and we're gonna hit this tier 1 life, right? And then you slam it and then you're like, wait a second. There is no life mod, there is life regen. Hey, okay, remove life, block suffixes, augment life, you know, like the typical things. I mean, that's something from the past, don't get me wrong. But I don't see any reason, not even in Righteous Fire, that I want to have flat life regen as a suffix, because there could be much needed resistance or, I don't know, like any other good stat, right? So, changes to the mod tag system. That's like the last part and the little bit bigger one, so no idea. During Harvest, we added the ability to view the tags of mods and items by holding Alt with the advanced mod description enabled. Yep. However, further changes to the mod tagging system were required in order to support displaying tags in the long term. We have standardized exist. Is this even a word? We have standardized. Okay, we have standardized existing systems that use the mod tags. It's the same as the set of tags applied to applied simpler and more consistent philosophy to categorizing which mod should receive a tag, and we've also made a few changes to standardized fossils. Love this word. Holy shit. This primary goal of these changes to make a fact of crafting functions that rely on mod tags more clear and predictable. Yeah, but to be honest, before Harvest Crafting, the only tags and mods you actually were interested is if you had like a +4 impulsor and does your spell gem has the right mods to actually get the +4 and like fossil crafting and so on. But without, like with Harvest Crafting, you could actually, you needed that, you know, because there is like, hey, is this like, I don't know, like fire damage is extra chaos damage or something, you know? What tags does this have? Can I remove that, you know? Oh, it's fire and chaos, so I can remove chaos, and you know, you learn about that things, you know? But usually with like typical crafting, I don't think that I ever wanted to know that physical is a phys skill or tag. I mean, that's kind of obvious. I mean, maybe I'm just not seeing the purpose on this one. I mean, it's good that we see it, but I think it had a major impact with Harvest Crafting, but this is things from the past, so I don't know if I would really care what mods are on there, at least what type of mod. Unless we're gonna get any kind of specific remove annulments where you actually can target remove something as we had in Harvest League, right? From 3.12 onwards, the tags displayed when holding Alt, which were previously used for fossils and harvest crafting, will also be used by catalysts, cannot roll attack modifiers, metacrafts. These new enchantments available in Heist will also use the tags, as well as future uses of the mod tag system. Mod tags will also be displayed on unique items and mods. New tags have been added to support this merge. These are ailment, attribute, curse, damage, gem, resistance, and mana. I mean, mana is already there, I think. But I guess it's just like for the greater good, for I think like most of the changes that are according to the mod tag system and all the balances and whatnot, I think it's all for the greater good, which is Path of Exile 2 next year somewhere, I guess. So it's all about trying out certain league mechanics and stuff like that, because we already know that some form of harvest crafting will be the crafting version in Path of Exile 2. You know, obviously we're gonna get all the good stuff extremely overpowered and overvalued, so people are constantly using that so we can fix, or they can fix basically all the bad things about the system to make it actually really good for once Path of Exile 2 is released, I would say. The changes made to the system which use mod tag system are as follows. Turbulent Catalyst will affect mods. Yeah, I think we can like skip all of that, because this is just like which tags are aligned to what. So if you want to know the specific wording over here, I think you can definitely just follow the link and read it down yourself. Is there anything more important? More tags, condition mods, tags, base condition, for example, blah, 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 blah. Thousands of individual changes have been made to mod tags. So to assist with understanding the implicits for the item crafting, we've prepared a full set of list mods which can roll items on their new tags. Click here. We clicking. Oh, so these are just the tags now that are aligned to certain mechanics or affixes or whatnot. So yeah, I'll leave this link plus the link of the Developer Manifesto in the description below if you want to make some higher or more research about that, if you want to go over. Overall, I think most important changes were definitely, which is interesting, the Vitality Reserve now a flat amount instead of percentage, and the changes to Glancing Blows, Divine Flash, Enduring Cry, Ball Lightning, Spellslinger. I think they definitely make sense, because every single build, and as I said again, this is, I catch myself every time, hey, is my build a life-based build? Go Divine Flash. There wasn't even a question, you know, like, it was just a question, where will I get enough chaos resistance to actually activate that, right? But I just think it's just way too strong, and it's good that it gets nerfed, so we actually can either like skip it because it's not that strong anymore, it's not worth it anymore, or we're just gonna take any other forms of survivability or defensive mechanics. So yeah, as I said again, overall pretty cool changes. To be honest, I don't care about nerfs at all. I still gonna play what I like to play, and I would hope if you would do, instead of going to Reddit. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.